Hi guys. I'm gonna warn ya. This is another late night Saturday night vlog, so there is I'd say at least 80% chance that I'm gonna ramble on about something, and I'm gonna make you hungry. I promise no more pizza. Maybe we'll talk. When we talked burgers already, maybe sour cream. Sorry, that's an inside joke between me and two buddies. Sour cream is the most versatile food, though. It is. It can go in anything. You ever try it with cold pizza? Give it a shot. Anyways, weigh day. Well, I weighed myself a day early today because I was kind of excited about the milestone coming up, and I hit it. I hit 101 pounds in 106 days. I was really hoping to do 100 pounds or over 100 pounds in 100 days. But really, why am I going to get upset about losing 100 pounds in 106 days? I feel fantastic. I feel great. And I know if it wasn't for my surgery, my umbilical hernia repair, I probably would have did it. But now I'm a stronger person physically because of it, so I'm not going to complain. I'm here to rock and roll. You know, punk rock, baby. Except for now I'm listening to LMFAO. Where have I gone wrong? So today was kind of a weird day. I got like 30 new MyFitnessPal friends, and I got like 20 new subscribers on YouTube. Sorry, my hat's all messed up. And my inbox and my email was just blowing up today. All the questions about my past, who I am, how I got myself to 525 pounds, and how I've gotten myself down to 424. So I thought I'm going to take this vlog. Not many of you really know my past that well. And I've come to the point where I've shared everything with you guys. I'm going to share about where I come from, what made me the person I am today with you guys. So this might be a little bit of a long vlog, but I'm going to ask for you to stick it out, and this way you guys can understand who I am and why I am the man I am today. Okay, so first of all, I'm 29 years old. I'm male, obviously. I've lived my entire life in Canada, in a province called Saskatchewan. Other than 1 year I spent in Alberta, Canada, which is a province right beside Saskatchewan. And my childhood was a good childhood. I was surrounded by people who loved me. There was one incident when I was a small child that helped shape who I am. I'm not going to share that with you guys. Use your imagination, you can probably guess. It's still painful for me to talk about, so I'm not going to talk. I really hope that was my picture that YouTube picked for this video. And I'm changing the subject. I've been told I do that a lot. So that was early childhood. My mother was a single parent for 12 years when she met her current husband. His name is Larry. Me and Larry, we had our differences when I was growing up. You know, it's like instant family, just add father, right? And so that's cool. Another really cool thing about my parents is that they are born on the same month, same day, and same year. I think my mom is 2 hours older than my stepdad. And you know what? He's not my stepdad, he's my dad. I've never met my real father. And quite frankly, I don't choose to. I have a dad. His name's Larry. And I'm content with that. My high school life was, it was okay. I had a good time in high school. I was always the fat kid. I was picked on. I was bullied, which didn't. It's not a good thing that I was bullied. I can't say, I drew strength from it, because I in turn bullied on other kids who were different than me. I've made amends for that. I've actually ran into there's only one kid really, and I ran into him, and I apologized to him for what I did. I would have been okay if he would have said that, you know what, man, I don't want to talk to you. I wish you were dead. I would have understood it completely. But he was the bigger man, and he accepted my apology. And for that, I'll be eternally grateful, and I will always feel eternally ashamed for what happened. I found football in high school, and it's something I excelled at, and something I love to do. I played center. For those of you who don't, this is American football, guys. This isn't European football. I played center, which is the guy who hikes the ball to the quarterback, or the place kicker. And I loved every single minute of it. When I was in high school, I also started doing drugs. It started off with pot. You know, I would smoke hash, pot, mushrooms, basically anything natural. We had a rule. If it ain't natural, don't go in our bodies. Then I moved. And then the natural became chemicals. I started doing cocaine. And some other drugs. But I met somebody who helped straighten me out, get me off of the coke. I can't say ecstasy because I did ecstasy after I came back from that place. But from doing a lot of drugs all the time, she gave me an ultimatum. It was her or the drugs. And if anybody knows me, they know the size of my heart. And they know that once you have my heart, you got my heart. So I decided I was going to quit drugs, or quit coke. I kept on doing pot, and so I moved back to Saskatchewan, and I did my grade 12 year back home, and continued smoking pot, but that's when I found punk music, and this band right here, Rancid, and the lead singer was a heroin addict, and he kicked the habit, and I could identify with him in that, and I love their music. It brought me energy, and just a thrive to fight. So I finished my grade 12 year, graduated high school, applied for university in the University of Regina in Saskatchewan. I was accepted into the education program, actually the early education program. I was going to be an elementary school teacher. And after I moved and started going to school, worst decision ever, put a bar in the university. That's where I could be found most days, was in the bar. I always got my work done. I always got good grades. But I was drinking excessively. Excessively. Like, I was that person in that Wednesday morning class who was still drunk or hung right over and he had the garbage can beside him. And then come exams, I was snorting Ritalin to keep myself awake, to get through my exams, to cram as much as I could, to get those last minute assignments in. And I was still relatively fit then. I've always been a big guy, but I was still relatively fit. I was probably about 250. And if any of you know football players, especially offensive linemen, you know, hoggies, as we call them, we got to be big guys. You know, we got to protect the quarterback. We got to stop those inside linebackers getting through. We got to stop the defensive linemen getting through. So we got to be big dudes. But I was strong. I was fit. And then I met my current fiance, Darcy. That was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, July 16, which is actually my birthday. And I moved to Swift Current. Now, going from years of being physically active and carrying this baggage of alcoholism and being addicted to drugs around me was really destroying me. And I moved out here, and I quit hard drugs. I stopped doing Ritalin. I stopped doing ecstasy. When I was in my grade 12 year, it was a party. It was just a party for me. One of my best buddies was like 19, 20. He had his own house, and it was right beside my house. And we used to throw big parties. You know, the drugs ran free. You know, you wanted something, we knew where you could get it. So I moved out here and I quit all the hard drugs. I still smoked pot. And then through all my years of drug abuse, I started developing a form of drug-induced schizophrenia. If I would just smoke a joint, some people get paranoid when they get high. I got to the point where I would talk to myself. I thought I could read people's minds. And I still remember the day when I decided when I needed to quit smoking pot. I was sitting on Darcy's bed when she lived with her sister, and she came in, and I had my hands in my face in my hands, and she asked me what was wrong, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want you to let me get high anymore. I can't do this. I'm breaking. I'm losing who I am. And which was really scary because I don't want to sound vain, but I like who I am. I'm comfortable with my heart and my mind. I know I'm a very intelligent person, even though sometimes my grammar or my speech is rambled or almost incoherent. My lines of thought are very precise. I'm a very analytical thinker. I like deconstructing things in my mind and analyzing it part by part. And my heart is big. When I invite you in and I love you, I will love you for eternity. I will do anything for you. I will fight for you. I will die for you. I will sacrifice my life so you can have a full and fulfilled life. And I'm a very loyal friend. And I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want to lose who I was, because I I couldn't live with myself not being that person. Not being that person who cares, and cares almost too much, almost excessively to a point. And so she promised me she would never do it again. Not that saying she was a big chronic. You know, it was a weekend thing. And we were 19. You know, we go to the bars. But she said she would help me. She'd never let me do it again. And I can hear people right now. I hear you talking to your screen. Oh, you're just talking about pot. Pot's natural, man. Bob Marley smoked it. Well, when you come from a long line of drug abuse, like I have, and your brain is starting to crack, even pot messes you up to the point where if you have one more, there's a chance that you're going to do damage to yourself that you're never going to be able to come back from. So after that point, drugs were always a big part of my life. So I had to find something to fill that void. Now this is going to be why, it's going to make sense why I've been talking about drugs and weight loss. So I tried to find something to fill that void. And it became food. And I ate myself to 525 pounds. I was a cook at a restaurant. There was nothing I couldn't cook. And I loved cooking. It was one of my favorite things. I hated my boss with passion. He was a real dick. But in hindsight, after being a boss, I understand why he had to be so hard. But I also believed I was a good employee. I never called in sick. I was always on time. I always stayed late. But whatever. Maybe it was the whole fat thing. Maybe he didn't like fat people. That's his problem, not mine. So I ate. I ate excessively. And I started gaining weight. And then all of a sudden I started, I was always tired. If I sat down for 10 minutes, I was sleeping. And I snored really, really bad. It got to the point one night I was in the computer room, and Darcy had friends over, and she closed the door because I was snoring so loudly. And one person asked her, "Do you have an animal in there?" And she's like, "No, that's just Chris." And that was the start of my obstructive sleep apnea. And Darcy took me to the doctor. And we made a sleep analysis appointment. And something happened. I can't remember. I made some excuse to get out of going to the sleep study. And worst decision of my life. I honestly believe it was the worst decision of my life not to go to the sleep study, because it got worse. I wasn't 525 at that point. I was probably in my threes, mid threes. So then I took a job working security. And so you're in a truck for 8 to 12 hours a day, sitting around, observing, watching. And with obstructive sleep apnea, you're passing out all the time. Which, you know, isn't a good thing. Especially when you're driving in the middle of the night. There are many times where I'd be driving down gravel roads and I would black out and I would wind up back at, it was windmills. They were constructing windmills around my town. And they had, you know, windmills all over the countryside. And they'd have like a base camp. And I'd be like 2 or 3 miles away from the base camp. And I'd wake up. I'd black out somewhere along the road, 3 miles away. And I would wake up. in front of base camp. I can't explain how it happened. You know, maybe there was a bigger force than myself who was looking out for me, guiding me, and making me safe. So that was actually when I really noticed my first, you're way too big sign. I remember driving home one day from the site, and for the first time ever, I actually felt my stomach on my thighs. I remember obsessing about that the entire way home. And then I got home, and Darcy makes this dish. It's called penne bake. It's like a block of cheese, penne noodles, couple pounds of hamburger, onion, green peppers, pasta sauce, and you layer it like a lasagna. And I honestly think it's my favorite food, home cooked food. It is the most delicious thing ever, and she made that the night before, and she had a little portion, a regular human-sized portion, and she made a big Dutch oven full. And when I got home, I ate the entire fucking Dutch oven. You know, like, to fathom how many calories were in there, I would say close to 10,000 calories. That's how much there was. And then I went and sat down on the couch and slept. And that started the cycle of eating, sleeping, eating, sleeping, eating, sleeping, eating, sleeping, being zero active, and just not really giving a shit about anything anymore, especially with my sleep apnea. You know, if anybody out there has sleep apnea and had sleep apnea really bad, I can't remember my exact things, but the doctor said I was one of the worst cases in the province, if not my country, of how many times I stopped breathing and waking yourself up. I never reached REM sleep for over 5 years. And, you know, that causes some brain damage. I think that goes with my I'll blame this on tiredness. With my cognitive thought process. There we go. And sorry if I keep moving the camera around, guys. I just have it in my hand. I'm just kind of holding it up. So that's when I hit 500 pounds. 525. Actually, I think 533 was my biggest weight. And I emotionally shut down, and I became an asshole, especially to Darcy. I did things to her that I will never forgive myself for. That if I spend every second of my remaining life trying to make up for her, I will never make up to it.